you've been watching this show consistently, you know that I love salt. It's probably like my favorite thing in my spice cupboard, even though, fun fact, it's a mineral. So today, I want to break down a couple of the main types of salt that we see and how I like to use them. So first up, we're talking iodized salt. This is also known as table salt. This is the stuff that you get in those tiny little packets at fast food restaurants. You also get it, you know when you go to a diner and for some reason it's in a salt shaker with rice? That's iodized salt. It's got a really, really fine grain, as you can see here, and it is very, very salty tasting. To be honest, I don't usually use iodized salt in my cooking. I find it tastes kind of chlorine-y, a little iodine-y, and it reminds me of a sore throat. This stuff is the stuff I use to make that salt water gargle when you're feeling a little under the weather. It's perfect for that. It's also really, really great to use for cleaning, because essentially it adds a little bit of abrasion to something when you're cleaning like a cast iron skillet, whether it's enameled or not. Gives you a little bit more elbow grease for that scrubbing, which is perfect. Now, I also, another thing I like to do, put a layer of that underneath a piece of like roast chicken or a beef tenderloin, a rack on top of that, so that meat's not touching that salt. So then any fat that drips off doesn't burn onto the pan. Easy cleanup and you are good to go. Also helps with that scrub, I know. That's a good, and then you don't get your oven smoking up the house, which is always a good thing. Now, next up, you're gonna see the salt that I use most often on this show and in my kitchen, and that is kosher salt. Now, kosher salt has a bigger, kind of flatter grain to it. It's really, really good, and it has kind of a softer kind of saltiness. It's not as punchy, it's not as bright. I love it so much though, because it doesn't like taste as salty as other salts. It's really, really good for anything from savory to sweet. It's my go-to salt. And fun fact, it's called kosher salt, not because it is kosher, but because it's used in the koshering of meats. Because of that flat shape of that salt, it kind of pulls out the moisture and impurities from meat, so it's used in koshering. It's really good, gets a good even salt on anything you want. Now we're going into fancy territory. First up, we've got my all-time fave salt from Canada's East Coast, from Newfoundland Salt Company. This stuff, like look at that one flake right there. It is beautiful. This is where you can tell that salt is a mineral. You see that shape, you see that texture. This is bright, punchy, lightning-y salt. It gives you like zinginess, it brightens everything up, and it's totally delicious to finish off dishes. Again, both savory and sweet. That, sprinkled on some brownies, get out of town. Now, if you want to be extra fancy, you could also do smoked salt. Now, this is smoked Malden salt, and I'm going to show you the texture of this. It's really uneven, really nice, and this salt, I'm gonna try to get this guy flipped over, likes to form little pyramids, which is really, really cool. So when it forms, that's the shape it actually makes. This is lightly smoked. It's really nice. I like to add this into my vegetarian carbonara to give a little bit of a bacon-y vibe. Now, if you really want to impress your friends the next time you have people over for dinner, just get a classic stick of butter, maybe take some of that Newfoundland salt, maybe a little bit of that smoked salt, sprinkle it on top, and you serve that next to some bread, and guess what? Everyone's gonna think they're at a restaurant. Butter and salt and bread, truly a trifecta. This is so, so good, and it's totally wonderful. I love it so much, but audience, I'm so, so excited, because thanks to my friends at the Newfoundland Salt Company, you're all going home with their flaky sea salt. My absolute fave. That is our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more of the good stuff. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.